Welcome to Spirits Podcast, a boozy dive into mythology, legends, and folklore. Every week we pour a drink and learn about a new story from around the world. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Julia.
And this is episode 82, Your Urban Legends, part 10.
Yes.
Double digits, only not because we're using Roman numerals.
There's been some conflict within the Spirits household about these episodes. Mostly that our family members only listen to these, and several of them have said they like Eric the best.
Yeah, several of our parents and loved ones, unprompted, were like, yeah, I try to keep up with Spirits, and we're like, that's fine. You don't have to keep up with the show. It's one every week. It's a lot. And they're like, but I really love the Urban Legends one. You guys should do more of those. I really love Eric the most. And we're like, what?
I'm sorry.
It makes me laugh.
Yeah,
I'm honored
funny
that our parents listen. We talk a lot about, things that I wouldn't want to hear my child talk about. So go parents. Thank you for listening.
I think today we're going to thank some super special, super spooky folks, Amanda.
Yes, I know it's hard to achieve maximum spookiness in the summertime, but folks who always keep it creepy, keep it cool, are supporting producer level patrons. Neil, Philip, Julie, Christina, Josh, Eeyore, Jessica, Maria, Cami, Ryan, Phil Fresh, and Deborah, and those special folks that are in our physical realm, in that they get physical packages from us every single month. Sarah, Sandra, Audra, Mercedes, Ashley, Buggy, Ashley Marie, Leanne, and Cassie.
Y'all definitely don't have roommates as mimics, but if you do, they make you a sweet, sweet dinner every night.
That would be very nice.
I
as
would
a ghost
be.
roommate. And Julia, I actually chose the drink for this one.
Ooh, tell me.
Which was a Brooklyn watermelon summer ale. It's just one of our go-tos and one of the few beers that you and I both really love. So we decided to break it out for this 10th Urban Legend episode.
Yeah, every time that you have a party, that is what I bring to the party. Because I know you like it, and I know I like it, and I know that if there's any left over, I can just drink them whenever I come to your place.
Yeah, it is a very smart plan, and I'm glad you do it.
That's what friendship is, my friend.
Friendship's also about teaching each other great stuff, which is why I'm really stoked that our sponsor this week is Skillshare, which is an online learning community. They have over 20,000 classes in design, business, technology, arts, more. And you can sign up for a free premium trial at skillshare.com/spirits.
Also, I want to just express we love our patrons. Y'all make our months every month, and you keep us doing what we do and what we love, which is this show. I do want to point out that we are less than 40 patrons away from going to Spaghetti Warehouse in Ohio, which we definitely totally want to do because our last experience was not so great. So I think we deserve a real actual Spaghetti Warehouse experience with extra garlic bread and maybe some gnocchi.
Yeah, I really want to get drunk in a trolley. I'm not going to lie to you. And the fact that this newfound career of ours can send us to get drunk in a trolley in a warehouse in Ohio is, I think, the greatest accomplishment of all time. So fewer than 40 people, if you are listening and you can give us even $1, it would mean the world. It will get us to Ohio. The minute we pass that patron goal, I have to book plane tickets to Ohio. That's how Patreon works. Jack Conti will come to my house and be like, Amanda, what are you doing? You hit your goal. Let's do it. So if you want us to go to Ohio, we will literally go to Ohio. Please sign up at patreon.com/spiritspodcast.
Yep, just $1 and we will get to that goal. I believe in you. I believe in us.
I believe in ghosts. I believe in spaghetti. And I believe in the Spaghetti Warehouse. So without further ado, enjoy Spirits Podcast, episode 82, Your Urban Legends, part 10. So I was at lunch this weekend with my Aunt Lourdes, who listens to the podcast. What up, Aunt Lourdes?
What up?
You've been a
my
supporter.
favorite of all of Amanda's aunts.
Oh, funny you say that, because the third or fourth thing that Aunt Lourdes said to me when we were in the same room, sitting down to a lovely late lunch and Greek food here in Astoria, Queens. Eric is my favorite Spirits host. And I was like, excuse me? And she was like, yeah, I try to keep up to date, but I never miss an Urban Legends episode. There's something about him. He's so funny. You and Julie are great, but there's just something about Eric.
I don't know about that now. I don't know about that.
I love it. I love it so much.
This is what's going to tear the fabric of our friendship apart. It's
true.
Deciding factor.
It's true.
I mean, I feel like I am a regular guest at best. So as much as I dream of having the title of host.
Do you though?
I'm on this ride once a month.
You did in the last Hometowns episode tell us, I'll give my seat to this other person. They can be the host now.
One person
I'm
writes
very
us
disposable.
with a good subject line, and you're like, well,
out.
nope, that's it. I know where I'm needed and not. But yeah, it's pretty funny. Sometimes families say the darndest things. Also, kids. We put out the call last episode for some stories of ya creepy children, and people, ya children are creepy.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. They are defo creepy. So, Amanda, why don't you start us off with a creepy child?
Oh, very gladly. I will give you short and sweet, maybe the creepiest child thing I've ever heard from our good friend Alexander Tanner.
Whose child I met when I was in Boston last time.
Aw, cute. Well, now you'll have a great, strong visual in your mind for this story. So, it's 4:30 a.m., and our son, then 3 years old, who has been asleep between us, wakes up. We automatically wake up too, because that's how it works at that age. Side note, kids sound awful.
Yep. I like to sleep.
Oh boy, I love sleeping so much. Okay, so we were still pretty groggy and on our way back to sleep until Julian says, putting the light on will make the person go away. So I ask, what person? The person on the inside, he says. Fully awake now, I say, inside what? He ignores the question and instead tells us the person doesn't want us to put the light on. Brandy is fully awake at this point too and hanging on to the conversation. Julian, I insist, the person inside what? The person inside the house. So I try to assure him there's no one here but us. And our blood, he assures me back. Then he rolls back over and goes to sleep.
That's such a hard no. Such a hard no.
Oh boy.
I don't want it. I don't want it at all.
I don't want it either.
Oh boy, no.
And our blood.
Oh, yep. And our blood.
And our blood.
Yep.
Maybe the worst word for a child to say. If the child knows about blood, if the child's around blood, if for some reason the child wants to reference creepy ghost blood, no.
All bad situations. Also, like, the kid did not answer the question about who the person was, so it's still ambiguous.
He's
just
the man in the house.
the mom assured them that there wasn't a person, and the kid just segues into, oh, but don't forget about the blood.
Oh boy, it's very bad.
Counterpoint, the blood.
Oh no. Have you considered the blood? Yes, I have. You're mine, and now I want to disavow you. No, I'm sorry, Alex. I'm sure your child's adorable.
Have you considered the good word of the blood today?
Oh no.
That's my favorite of the books of blood is Deuteronomy. That's a joke just for Julia.
Thank you for that, and all the other Bible study people in our audience.
That's true. I just think the word Deuteronomy is funny, and I said it with like full eye contact. So
You did. Thank you for that.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you for the giggle. I have a story about children being creeped on. Would we like to hear that next?
Oh no, does it
Well,
end
that's,
okay?
What? That's not what we wanted. That's
Yes,
the opposite.
yes, it is.
I want
Aw.
creepy children.
Well, we're going to start with this one. This is from a listener named Fran, and Fran goes, "Hi again, it's Fran, and I forgot about more creepy in my town. This guy is called the Watcher. You can pull up articles written about him, her, maybe not even human, who knows? I believe the story begins in 2014 when a family moved into a new home and began receiving threatening letters from the Watcher. The letters...
Too soon. This is too recent.
No,
I want an
it's
urban
too much.
legend
No.
from the 70s. I don't want an urban legend from a year I can remember.
Yeah.
The letters explained that generations of watchers have been watching this house. In a letter, they write that their grandfather and father watched the house, so I guess we can assume that the Watcher is a man, but who knows? The Watcher threatened the children and detailed their knowledge of the house and stuff along those lines. The Watcher referred to the children as, quote-unquote, young blood. They requested for the house to be filled with, quote-unquote, young blood. Another letter explained that they knew the children's names. This generated a lot of buzz in the community.
I bet.
Buzz is underselling what this generated in the community.
Probably moral panic.
Probably. Everybody in my high school was sharing links on Facebook with articles written about this creepy
Julian, I'm going to stop you right there. An urban legend that involves Facebook is too recent. Too recent. Pre-Facebook only.
The couple moved out and they sued the previous owners of the house because they did not disclose that there's a creepy stalker mailing threatening letters to the owners of the house. I would too.
This sounds familiar now.
Yeah.
This sounds like a story I've actually read about.
I don't know.
That one sounds like familiar enough that I actually might know. Like, I don't know details, but it sounds like something I've actually like heard about, which means it's far too recent.
I got excited that it would involve Rupert Giles and a full conspiracy of,
No Buffy.
vampiric, specialized librarians, but no.
Nope, I'm sorry. I don't think they won the case, but they did rent out the house to someone else. Fearing for the safety of their quote-unquote young blood, they had to get out of there. The house went back on the market last year, and I have not seen any more headlines about the Watcher, so I have no idea what was up with that, but it was definitely super creepy. With a quick Google search, I see that there haven't been any articles written about it since last year, so if I hear anything new, I'll let you guys know. Maybe the new owners just ignore the letters?
That's for sure. What I want to know is whether the previous occupants dealt with something similar. Like, was this documented as a phenomenon?
I guess not, because I feel like if it was documented as a phenomenon and like had police records and stuff, they would have won that court case that they put.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I think these people are just like, oh, it's from letter from the creepy stalker again, throw it out.
Yikes. You can't even set up like Gmail filters on your physical mail.
You can't.
If so, I would get no spam mail and almost no mail at all.
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
I'm a millennial. Don't send me mail.
One time I was waiting for a friend in a park, and an elderly man came up to me and said to me, "Youngblood, do you know where the bathroom is?"
Oh, boy.
And that was the coolest thing that anyone's ever said to me. It was the coolest question anyone's ever asked.
Wow.
He was just like, "Hey, Youngblood, you know if there's any bathrooms around here?" And I was like, I had to like get out of the shock of like how cool this dude was.
You're like, thank you for the awesome
And
new
then I was
nickname,
like, I
sir.
think maybe the public pool across the way has something you could use, but I don't know.
So beautiful.
That's the context I want to hear Youngblood.
Okay, not
I don't
fill
like
the house
this
with
context.
young blood.
I don't like the idea of looking for young blood. I like someone just being called Youngblood. That's cool. with
Yeah,
me.
like when you casually come across somebody and you're like, you know what? You are the future Youngblood. And you're like, yes, thank you. Or maybe if you're a like college sports recruiter, even then is something a little bit iffy about going to high schools and being like young blood, and I'm like, go away, you're a stranger.
Also, like getting weird letters about your children's young blood is super creepy.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a prank gone really, really wrong.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Well, Youngblood, what do you got for us?
I have a letter from listener Katie Lynn.
What up,
Katie!
This is the story of the ghost who lives at the University of Memphis. Well, one of them. Hopefully one ghost.
Good start.
Not the same ghost haunting multiple versions of the University of Memphis.
Or, I mean, it could be multiple stories about one ghost, or I'm hoping multiple ghosts and multiple stories, because that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. Her name is Elizabeth Menders. I like a ghost with a first and last
I
name.
do
Oh, yeah.
I feel
appreciate
like
when
you
ghosts have
typically
full
don't
names.
get
Yeah.
that specific of
Give me
the
that
ghost.
historical record.
She is the daughter of the first president of the university back when it was West Tennessee Normal School.
Why is it normal school?
What does that mean?
What is-
Hold
Amanda,
on,
please do a
let me
quick
make
Google
sure.
of
Yes,
what
I'm,
a normal school
I'm like
is.
highlighting letter by letter to make sure that it is just normal. I'm not just like getting weird kerning. It's normal school. He commissioned a dorm to be built on the campus in the shape of a letter E for his daughter, and it was called Menders Hall.
It's just normal school. That's just what it's called.
That's so weird.
Just
call it school then.
Are you okay?
Just call it school.
Sorry, Eric. Back to your
No,
story.
no, I love it. I love it. Unfortunately, she died at a young age, and I think she was a student. She lived in Menders Hall, and it was said that she haunts the building even today. That's like crazy to have like a dorm built after you, and then you live in the dorm, and then you die in the dorm. Like that's
Oh man, yeah.
like almost like a prophecy coming true. It feels like.
Yeah. Not good. Not good. Don't have a building named after you and then live in it.
Yeah, also don't build physical buildings for future children of yours. I'm just saying, like, unrelated. Please don't
To
build
our
like
listeners.
creepy, like all of our extremely wealthy landowning listeners, I suppose. Don't like build, playhouses for future children. I just feel like that's a bad omen waiting
Nope.
to happen.
Just don't do it.
Yeah.
Also,
Just
great
wait.
advice for any of our rich landowning listeners. We have a Patreon, patreon.com/spiritspodcast.
Become a legend level
Spirits
patron.
Pod- Is that right?
You can get physical
There's a-
packages to your
There's a legend
lands.
level. It's great.
Yeah. It is
Check
very
that
good.
out. It's great. Anyways, back to the story. They closed the dorm in 2015, so I've never been in it, but walking past even gave me goosebumps. She was considered a friendly ghost who just kind of wandered around the building and turned lights on and off as she saw fit. She never really did anything, but there have been reports of her being seen, being in rooms, and even reaching out to the female residents who lived there. One of my friends who lived in Menders Hall the last year it was open told me that she woke up one night to her door being slammed open. There was no one else around and she didn't see anything.
Yikes.
She let it go and went back to sleep. I lived in the dorm behind Menders Hall and would have to walk around it to get to the cafeteria. I never saw anyone, but I always had the weird feeling of being watched through the windows. Random lights would be turned on, and sometimes people would see a shadow wandering around the third floor.
Yikes.
That's all I really know about Elizabeth and Menders Hall, and she has sent us some links along with her email to some stories about the ghost.
Sweet.
And she says, stay creepy, stay cool.
Aw. Also, I like the idea that's like, she didn't really do anything, but people would see her every now and again, which is like a hard same.
Yeah.
Just really hard save.
Oh, yeah.
She didn't really do anything. People just see her every now and again.
Yeah, that's kind of my ideal. It's like someone would notice if I died, probably, like after several days, but no one expects of me anything.
That's just how I live my normal life, not my ghost life.
That would be the dream.
Like an abandoned dorm, like, and just seeing like someone standing there is a very spooky image to me. Because like at one year during college, they moved us all mid-school year between semesters into a different dorm because they had finished it.
Oh, no.
And they're like, we're kicking you out of your dorm, so it's the middle of winter, time to move. It was a real pain in the butt. But then that dorm was empty for a while, and we would always walk past it, and it was just like this place that we had called home for like 3 years was just like empty and abandoned, and just like the idea of like spookily like seeing lights turn on and off, or like a person in a window is like very unsettling to me, because I know like the uncreepy version of that, and it was already not great.
Oh, yeah.
But the creepy version of that is very creepy.
Yeah, I've been kind of obsessed with the haunted dorm ever since Jeffrey Gardner's episode with the elevator.
Yeah.
Oh man, that fucked me up.
I know. The elevator one in particular was like so good and scary. This one comes to us from Kelsey. So she says, I have no direct memory of this story. It's secondhand from my parents. So I'll leave it to you guys to speculate whether I was a child straight out of Amityville or was just already a troll by age 3.
I liked this email a lot. I remember this one.
It's very good. Kelsey is a good writer. So she says, I was a military brat, but when I turned 3, my parents' brother and I settled in North Carolina and moved into this old brick house in a suburb-ish part of town. I have the most lovable brand of helicopter mom, so she generally kept up with my shenanigans and knew how and when I tripped or bumped into things or scraped myself up. One evening I came down for dinner and had a long scratch down my forearm, but I didn't mention anything about it. When my mom asked what happened, I calmly responded, the boy gave it to me, and kept eating my dinner. Julia's face is
The boy?
so creepy. Yeah, the boy.
Boy, all right.
Uh-oh.
Here we go.
It's the. If it was a boy, it's fine, but the boy
No.
is too
No.
specific.
Absolutely. Thinking I may have meant a neighbor, my mom asked, what boy? To which, in 5-star creepy kid form, I casually retorted,
no.
the boy who lives in my room. He doesn't like that
No.
we live here.
Oh no!
Her parents inexplicably didn't press the issue further.
No!
My dad has more or less forgotten about the whole thing when a few months later, totally an estimate, my timelines are pretty blurry, she was 3, the previous owners of the house stopped in because they were passing through the area and wanted to meet the new residents. During the conversation, they asked my dad if he'd had any run-ins with the ghost boy who lives upstairs.
Come on!
What are you doing?
My parents either have nerves of steel or no sense of self-preservation, but they just went about their business until we moved for other reasons a year or so later. Okay, other reasons, sure. I wish I could provide a first-person account, but unfortunately I have maybe 2 memories of our whole time in that house, and neither of them were paranormal. I looked up the neighborhood and the house before writing this, but short of an ad on Zillow, nothing particularly haunted popped up.
Did the Zillow ad say, kind of haunted, just a little bit though?
Don't worry about it. Recent price drop. Why? Don't worry about it.
Don't worry, it's fine, it's cool. We have to disclose murders, but you know.
Creepy kids, that's on your own time. Wow, that's freaking terrifying.
Yep, nope, not a fan.
Is there a statute of limitations on like any of that stuff for houses? Like if a house is like, because there's lots of houses around here that are like over 100 years old. Like if there was a murder in like 1917, do you still have to be like, someone was murdered in this house? Because that was over 100 years ago now.
I don't know.
I feel like the murder has to have happened like within the sale of the house. Like if you're the first family to buy it after the murder, they have to release that information, but not if you're like the fifth family to buy the house after the murder.
I suppose though, if it's like a generational house where like, you know, a grandmother was born and there was a murder, you know, around that time, and then when she passes, you know, 90 years later, the house is sold, that could be technically within the lifetime of one ownership. But yeah, I wonder if people work in real estate or insurance and want to let us know. I'd be very curious what the kind of rules are there.
So Amanda, you know what I love about these Hometown Urban Legends episodes and like our show in general?
Getting pretty creeped out while slightly buzzed.
I mean, that definitely that. But also I like learning new things.
I do too. And I love learning them about all kinds of stuff. I love that we can talk about old history, new history, urban legends, historical ghosts and creepies. But I also like learning real stuff in the world. And my favorite place to do that online is Skillshare. It's an online learning community. They have over 20,000 classes in design, business, arts and crafts, and other like artisan fields, technology, like anything you could want.
And the best part is their premium membership gives you unlimited access to all of these high quality classes on these like must-know topics. So you can either improve your skills or unlock new opportunities or like do the work that you love. So like this week, I've been checking out the Intro to Mixology, which is upping your cocktail game in 30 minutes. And that's hosted by April Watchell, who is this New York-based cocktail instructor. She's amazing. But it's a class where it's anything from like a total bartending newbie who needs an orientation on how to get started to like bartenders who like really want to get into mixology but like haven't had the time because either they work at a dive bar or like maybe you're just really enthusiastic about cocktails and you want to know the basics and the classics and then some new stuff as well.
Yeah, it is really, really cool. I learned some stuff I didn't know, which I thought I knew a lot for like an amateur, you know, cocktail maker. Turns out, no, I had a lot to learn. And I also really love this class called the Hitchcock Method, which is all about adding suspense to everything you write. Now, I haven't had to write papers or stories since college. And as much as I, you know, write a ton of emails during the day, I want to get back into creative writing. So I really liked this class. It makes you think about like story structure, the sequence, you know, in which you kind of reveal information to your listeners and readers. And I thought it was really, really well done. So you can get unlimited access to classes like this with your premium trial. You get 2 months of Skillshare for just 99 cents. So that's at Skillshare.com/spirits for 2 months of unlimited access to all 20,000 plus classes for just 99 cents.
You can't even buy gum for 99 cents.
You can't. You can't buy a water bottle or a can of Coke for 99 cents, but you can get 2 months of Skillshare.
Yep. So that is Skillshare.com/spirits, 99 cents, 2 months of premium service. Go do it.
Thanks for supporting the show, Skillshare, and thank all of you for supporting them right back.
I have a story about a spooky restaurant that isn't related to spaghetti, as far as I know.
Tell me.
Whoa.
This comes from Parker, and they have a story about a spooky restaurant. The restaurant is called Margarita's, and it's the original and start of a chain. Also, it used to be the city jail, so guests can eat in old jail cells
I want to
if there's some available.
good.
for
I
it.
want to go to there.
I really super want to go.
What's up with restaurants that end up on this podcast in which something that shouldn't be in a restaurant is in a restaurant? Jail cells, trolley cars.
People know
Keep
we
them
like
out of
weird shit.
restaurants.
I know, though it is a pretty efficient, like, drunk driving trap where if someone is going
Well,
to be
you think
drunk
the
driving...
manager
Walk
could just
back.
close the door
Oh,
on
yeah.
you.
It's like, good job, cop. You've been imprisoned.
The downstairs portion of the restaurant has the largest cell, and in it lives our ghost,
Sentence.
George.
It's named George. The ghost is named George.
The ghost is named George.
Oh, so good.
Since George has given us a bit of a reputation, our restaurant has been a spot to visit on local ghost tours. And once there was a group of psychics and mediums that came to the restaurant to spend the night.
Oh my God.
Always good.
I want to be there.
They invited another medium from out of town and made her wait outside when our manager was talking about the history of the restaurant.
So she wouldn't be like tainted by the story.
Sure.
Probably because they wanted to see if she could pick up anything that the locals would miss, or maybe just to see if she was genuine. She was taken on a tour of the restaurant, And when she got to the downstairs by the soda fountain, close to where the big cell is, she stopped. She started mumbling until she looked at my manager and went, "It's Joe, not George."
Yo, calling him out.
Wow.
She kept mumbling it all night. So where did the name George come from? Parker writes a lot of question marks and explanations after that sentence, but I wasn't sure how to enunciate that many
Where did it
punctuation.
come from?
Where did it come from?
Yeah. Just do it in your best, 40s.
This
announcer
question
voice.
and more on tonight's Story Hour.
Amanda's got it.
I don't think I need to do it again because you guys clearly gave them what they wanted.
Exactly.
Also, when people are working the closing shift, Joe/George will flicker the lights. Sometimes he'll hide in other smaller cells and say quiet things or cause the area around us to go cold.
All right.
What? Now, Parker, I don't like to get on the cases of the people who write in.
Uh-oh.
You got to tell us some of those quiet things the ghost is saying.
Yeah, I want to know what George/Joe is whispering.
What's being said?
We need that color commentary.
Yeah.
Though, to be honest, if you're working in a restaurant, you're probably sweaty, moving around a lot, walking all night. It's probably nice to have a little bit of ghost air conditioning with you.
There you go.
That's very true. The only time I've ever had an encounter with him was when I was about to leave the host area and go home on a Friday night. It was around 11 p.m. and the lights shut off, and I swear I felt someone tap my shoulder and say, "Excuse me, can you move?" Needless to say, I ran into the restaurant to cry in my friend's arms because I was so terrified.
Oh, no. But at
Wow.
least he was polite about it. You can't say he wasn't.
You know, I'm genuinely trying to think to myself, would I be more scared if someone was like, "Hi, Youngblood," or if they were like, "Sorry, do you know the time?" I just don't know which one would be more
probably
challenging.
the first.
Probably the first would be
Yeah,
scarier.
I mean, definitely the first.
Yeah.
I feel like I would not handle a ghost well either way. But if I could at least compose myself if the ghost was being pretty chill about the situation.
Yeah, that's true. I always see the reveal in a book or a movie or something that oh, there's magic, or oh, you're special, or oh, I'm an alien. I always think that I would take it very calmly, and I'm always like, oh man, these people are they're jumping all around and they're so incredulous. Can't you see it's right in front of you? That person's a talking dragon. I don't know. I feel like I'll be pretty down and be like, yep, no, I suspected as much.
They finished by saying, "Please come to the restaurant if you ever come to Concord, New Hampshire." So
Dope. Will do.
we just gotta take a road trip up north, and we can go to Margaritas and hang out in a jail cell.
Yeah, sounds good.
And get spooky.
That sounds like a wonderful summer vacation.
I want to get spooky every summer vacation.
What we need is a show that's on either the Food Network or the Travel Channel, in which we just go to haunted restaurants.
Get at us!
Because initially it'd be
in
a show where
touch.
we just go to haunted places is enough, but I feel like we've honed in on a niche.
We found a
enough
niche.
that we
Make
could
us
just
cocktails
do
and show us
haunted
your
restaurants
ghosts.
at this point.
Listen, I'll drink bottled beer. I'll drink wine. I don't need a bespoke cocktail based on the haunting of your particular establishment. I will take one.
I mean, I wouldn't mind
I will definitely
that.
take one.
No,
I would prefer that.
Do
but
I want a themed tasting menu around the particular heinous crimes that occurred in your basement once upon a time?
Yes, I would.
Yeah, I do. And all you creepy cool MFers would watch that as well.
So my next story was titled "The Fairies at the Bottom of the Pool."
Ooh.
Sold me right away.
Pool fairy is a really good summer aesthetic.
So this email is from Nizzy, and they say, "Hey guys, so in your most recent episode, someone shared about when they talked to a river and how it responded to them, and it reminded me of the fairies at the bottom of the pool." Good start. So when I was in year 11 in school, aka when I was about 15, 16, I used to do swimming for games. I don't know if calling it games is a British thing, so basically sports lessons.
Gym. PE.
It's gym,
Yeah.
PE. So I was spending about 4 hours a week in the pool. My school made us do too much sport. Agreed.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot.
I don't know what started it, but I would imagine these fairies that lived at the bottom of the school pool. One of them was King of the Water Fairies. I'm not sure why the King of the Water Fairies would live in a swimming pool, but I guess that was just where my mind went. I started talking to the king of the water fairies, just randomly chatting. I don't remember any of the conversations, but I do this thing where you would talk underwater, and it sounds all weird, and I'd imagine his responses, mostly just to keep my mind busy while swimming up and down the pool, probably doing laps or whatever for school.
Yeah, makes sense.
However, after a little while of doing this, I became aware that his responses didn't seem to be just coming from my imagination. It felt like something else out there was responding inside my head. For example, I remember there being a day where he wasn't there, and I didn't hear from him, and I was really worried until the next time I went swimming and he was back. I don't know what he looked like. It was just his voice. I then went to a church youth group weekend away, and I was very aware that the idea of this water spirit that I was talking to kind of clashed with my other beliefs, so I came to the conclusion that either it was just in my head or it was some demonic presence trying to lull me into a false sense of security, so I decided that I had to stop talking to him. I felt really bad about it because I considered him a friend, but it was easier to distrust him than question my entire belief system. Totally
Listen, I don't blame her, yeah.
Looking back at this story, I started experiencing mental health issues at that sort of age, and my brain likes to do strange things when my mental health is bad, and I never had the strongest separation between reality and fiction in my head. So this could have all been in my head, or maybe it was some kind of water spirit or demon, but who knows? It does make me wonder, though, how many myths started as a result of someone's mental health, though. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the story, Nizzy. Which is cool. Yeah, we've talked a lot about how, mental health can definitely affect how we tell stories and what affects what's real and what's not in our brains, and I think this is a really good example of that. But also, I like the idea that what is your reality is shaped by your experiences.
Oh, yeah.
And whether or not this is real for you, or if the river story was real for our listener who sent that in, it's all a matter of perception, and I just like that. I like that kind of stuff a lot.
I like it too. It reminds me a lot of just imagination. That's a thing that we kind of lose track of.
Especially becoming adults.
In adulthood, exactly. And at least for me, kind of, bad mental health times tend to rob me of creativity and whimsy. Mm-hmm. And so as a kid, I was solitary and weird, and my brain spun out way too much. And so I came up with really cool stories as an adult that normally is worrying about my chores, or stuff at work. But I really love also that, people with non-typical brains or mental health, we kind of have a cool magical realism view of the world.
Yeah.
There is a way in which there is lots of downsides, obviously, and sometimes I wish that wasn't the one that I was given, but I also know that my outlook on life and on stories is super unique, and I'm grateful for that too.
Yeah, my neurodiverse brain is a good storyteller when it wants to be.
Yeah, anxiety is just a really compelling storyteller.
For sure.
Most of the time, I'd rather it not, but there it is. Our next email comes from Sander. It is subject line, a creepy kid who was also a ghost.
Yes.
And how my stepdad got his mom to bless the place.
Yep. Hard, yep.
I like it. So Sander says, I have some interesting blends of neurodivergent issues that lead to me being a hyper-aware, anxious ball of, oh God, please don't jump out at me. Same.
Yep.
When I was about, I want to say early teens or so, I lived with my stepdad and mom. I didn't like my stepdad at the time, but anyway, I've always been a firm believer in spirits and ghosts and fae and so on. I've seen ghosts and shadow men, so I'm pretty down with whatever. So when I started to see this ghost kid, I was like, all right then, you cool? Because if you're not cool,
hey, what up?
Then you and I got to set some boundaries, which I love. Okay, this is happening. This is what's going on right now. And how can I cope with it?
I do like the idea of setting boundaries with your ghost that's haunting you. Be like,
Very
hey,
much.
buddy, this is fine. You can wake me up at 3, but if we do this for longer than an hour, we got some problems.
Honestly,
a very understanding, progressive ghost.
It's very true. And you know what? I feel similarly about pests in my home. I live in a 110-year-old building in New York City. There's going to be pests. Mm-hmm. And my feeling is long as I can't see you, we can cohabitate. You
do your thing.
You can do your thing. Don't show me poop. Don't, jump out at me when I'm cooking, and we're going to be good. So back to Sander. I would get up in the wee hours of the morning to pee because insomnia, and I wouldn't turn on the lights because my mom and stepdad are, strict and sleeping. So I would see this little kid with a bowl cut about 4 foot something just chilling on our couch like he owned the damn place. At first I was scared because I've seen some, bad ghosts before, but the boy never really did anything aside from chill on her couch. Then he started standing outside the bathroom door when I peed and just watched, which again is creepy, but not like bad.
But like also not cool.
Also not cool. Gotta set those boundaries. But baby Sander was all like, hey dude, can you not? So I just stopped trying in the end because it was company. He was kind of a soft white gray and his hair had an impression of being brown. I don't remember his eyes, so IDK. But his face was kind of chubby and cute and so on, like a puppy. I talked to him all the time and eventually got the idea in my almost baby brain that his name was Benji. Along with chilling on the couch and also watching me groggily pee at 3 a.m., Benji would also stand outside my bedroom just in the door frame and do nothing. All right, we're getting into creepy here. Just in the door frame and do nothing. He respected my space, and I kind of liked that. He became a bit of a fond friend. Wake up in the middle of the night, hey Benji. Can't sleep? That's Benji, just a chill little dude. I made the mistake of mentioning Benji to my stepdad one day, that was that. His mom is a Christian counselor in a pseudo-super church, so he had her come in and bless the place by banishing the spirit. I kept telling him that Benji didn't hurt anyone, it was just living there, but that was that. I haven't seen Benji since, despite my stepdad and mom living in the same house, but I like to think that Benji is now kind of kicking it on Jesus' couch in heaven, standing in door frames to his ghostly heart's content.
Aw. I hope Benji's doing good.
There's many houses in heaven with lots of door frames, I'm sure. So like,
That's true.
choice place to like look for door frames to stand in.
Yeah, I just thought that was very sweet. It was not like a malicious ghost, not really interfering, and you know, having dealt with insomnia myself, it's nice to think like, okay, well, there's just someone also chilling, you know, enjoying this nice 3 a.m. witching hour.
That would freak me the fuck out. But all right. So I got another email. This is from Jenny. And Jenny says, so before I get started with my story, I want to say that I'm an active practicing pagan/witch, and I have a lot of stories I want to share, but out of all of them, I wanted to share the one that my husband told me when we first met once he discovered my quote-unquote interests. It's probably one of the most unique and chilling stories I've ever heard, so I'm sold already. So my husband went to college in Seattle. He shared an apartment with his roommate and his roommate's cats. My husband has always seen ghosts, though he'd rather not, and at that point already had his fair share of creepy experiences outside this apartment. Another story for another time. The area was known for having weird and creepy things happen. It is important to note that the way the entrance to the apartment was set up was done in a way that you wouldn't see the person's face as they entered, but you would be aware of their presence, for it's the only way in and out of the apartment. So one day, while hanging out in the front room of his apartment, my husband's roommate walked in. My husband said hey, but his roommate sort of just raised his hand in acknowledgments, never showing his face as he quietly walked to his room, shutting the door behind him. The cat followed to sit clawing and meowing at the door, something that the cat never did. Not even an hour later, the roommate walked into the apartment and started talking to my husband. And my husband sat shocked and said, "Wait, you were just here. You got home a little bit ago." To which his confused roommate replied, "No, I just got home. I haven't been home all day." At first, they both thought it was nothing until the reverse happened just a few days later. The roommate was in the apartment, but saw my husband enter, silently walk to his room, closing the door behind him, never seeing his face. But only a few minutes later, my husband walked in from being at school since the night before. This happened a few more times before my husband eventually moved out. Sometimes the roommate would be playing games when my husband would arrive home, never seeing his roommate's face, but always a silent wave, only to come back a few minutes later to find the roommate entering the apartment for the first time all day.
That's wild.
It wasn't until much later that my husband realized it probably wasn't a ghost they were seeing, but more something like a mimic or a doppelganger. He believes that if him or his roommate were ever to see the true face of the mimic, it would have been deadly. Like hearing a banshee scream indicates death is nearby.
Holy shit.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
Is it possible? May I add a third theory?
Go.
They have desynced from our timeline.
That's possible.
And they're seeing future events slightly sooner than they're happening, only in their living room. Their living room has desynced from time by 180 seconds.
The living room is a time bubble.
Yeah, I had that thought too, which is almost to me more terrifying than a paranormal like haunting of this existing like space-time. But the idea that, I could be desynced, like decoupled from the rest of the timeline, or that things happen again or not at all, or losing time, like that is one kind of trope in like psychological or horror movies that I really get creeped out by, is the idea of losing time.
Yeah. As someone who has like partial face blindness, this creeps me the fuck out in like ways that I can't really describe.
Yeah.
Which is like, you think that a person that you see is a person that you know, and then like you look at them again and they're not the person that you thought they were, or vice versa, where someone's like, hey, what's up? And you look at them, you're like, I have never spoken to you in my entire life. I don't know what your face is. Who the fuck are you?
Yeah, right. Because if you can't recognize the face, like what, that's like the one true, identification.
Yeah.
So what then is left?
Oh man, that fucks me up though.
Well, that was terrifying. Thanks for sharing.
Always. I go for the terrifying ones.
And I will end with a update on spaghetti. Spaghetti-based restaurants.
Wait,
like
what?
Spaghetti Factory and Spaghetti Warehouse.
I love Spaghetti Warehouse.
I hope this never dies.
This comes to us from Serenity, and they write, so upon listening to you guys talk about Spaghetti Factory and Spaghetti Warehouse, I realized they sound kind of like Spaghetti Works in my hometown, Omaha, Nebraska.
Oh no.
Oh my god.
Not a third spaghetti.
Works
No.
has entered the fight.
This proves the multiverse theory.
There's so many spaghettis.
That's it. There's no two ways about it.
Except for they're all in the same verse. Also, I worked at Spaghetti Works, and you spaghetti worked at Spaghetti Works, and I get it right. And I constantly got phone calls asking if we were the same thing as Spaghetti Factory or Spaghetti Warehouse. I never realized how similar they were. Spaghetti Works is in the Old Market, which is a section of downtown where everything is built in old buildings. Spaghetti Works was built in an old mattress factory, and there's also a ton of vintage type stuff hanging up, but I'm not too sure about any of them being haunted. I do have a creepy story about working there though. Is it possible that the noodle spaghetti is haunted?
just the type of pasta, spaghetti.
And just the type of pasta is what is haunting all of these places, not specifically these restaurants.
Okay.
Because there's one common thread now.
I'm gonna play in the space with you here. Why is spaghetti haunted? Why spaghetti? Why not penne?
Long tongues licking out at you.
Oh boy. All right.
Well, that's the worst part. So let's just move right on.
But
from
wait,
there.
Counter proposal.
Truly terrible.
Okay.
Counter proposal. What if there is a vengeful spirit who is trying to enact a task that they never
Mr.
got
Spaghetti.
to do in their life, and that task is to start Italian restaurants in old places.
Okay.
And in order not to get sued by past bodies that they've occupied, they change the name very slightly each time.
Okay.
But why, after succeeding multiple times?
Have they succeeded, Eric? Maybe their true idea of success is something different.
I guess. You think you would focus on just the first one and try to franchise that out more than opening a competing spaghetti-based restaurant.
Maybe it was kicked out of its body, and so it had to either like watch this body that it no longer ran, succeed, and they had to create a sister restaurant.
Corporate ghost espionage.
So I worked as a host, and one day I got a weird call from a lady saying she was locked in her stall in the bathroom.
Oh no.
So we did the logical thing and send someone to the bathroom and try to get her out.
Oh no.
The person that went to go check came back and said no one was there. There are 2 locations in our city, so we went ahead and called the other location and told them that there might be a woman locked in the bathroom, and there wasn't.
Oh man.
Oh man. I'm assuming she
That
was
would
at
be
like a
that would be
spaghetti
quite the
warehouse.
faux pas. First to get locked in a bathroom, second to call the wrong
Oh yeah.
restaurant.
No,
that you
your
think you're locked
day
in.
your
So
day's not going to
intense.
be redeemed from there.
The lady definitely told me that she was at Spaghetti Work, and she sounded too old to be making a prank phone call.
But just old enough to like slightly have dementia.
I want to be very clear. That sentence was in the email, not something that I would add. It's because it is something that I would add. After this happened, though, the head hostess told me that she thinks there's a ghost in the bathroom, and she swears she's seen it. After this happened, We all want to catch this ghost, so someone downloaded an app
Oh my god.
that lets ghosts talk through it.
No.
And it said lots of words for them and even said bathroom.
Ooh.
Oh no.
I, however, don't know how trustworthy this app was, so I downloaded it on my phone and tried using it in different locations that I assumed weren't haunted and didn't have spirits.
Wow, that's really going
do a
going beyond.
hefty review. That's some like thewirecutter.com level of app review right here.
I love it.
There definitely wasn't any activity in the places that she checked, but in Spaghetti Works, there was a lot of activity. I still don't trust this app 100%, but I still think there's definitely a spirit there.
Oh boy.
Listen,
Love the podcast. Thanks for reading.
Why are they all haunted? Why are all the spaghetti places haunted?
you know, Julia, I think you're onto something. I think spaghetti is the most haunted pasta.
No, Eric said that, but I will give that credit.
That's 100% my idea.
You know what, Eric? I think you're onto something. I think spaghetti is indeed the most haunted pasta.
Who, hold on. I'm going to do some quick Googling. Spaghetti.
Haunted.
Did the person who made spaghetti die a horrible death?
Did he?
I, meanwhile, am Googling spaghetti ghost.
The first written record of pasta comes from the Talmud in the 5th century AD.
I just found a paranormal experience subreddit with a spaghetti ghost one.
Wikipedia does not have who created spaghetti.
God damn it, Wikipedia.
Thousands of years ago.
What's the point of
Which
you?
I mean, was a long shot. Was a long shot for sure.
Did you get any good spaghetti ghost stuff, Amanda?
Nah, I'm Googling about spaghetti ghosts, and I'm not seeing a whole lot. I'm also not seeing our episodes on the first page of the results, so...
That's some bullshit.
Oh, wait. HauntJaunts.net has a post called Why Do Ghosts Like Spaghetti So Much?
There's a paranormal Reddit thread where there's just a thing called spaghetti ghost.
I know, it's about a spaghetti strainer, though, and not actual spaghetti, which,
that.
get the fuck out. Good. Well,
spaghetti-
TripAdvisor has a post about the haunted spaghetti warehouse in Houston.
All right, cool.
Vancouver has a haunted spaghetti warehouse tour.
There's a TV show episode of a show called Ghost Bounty Hunter,
Oh, wow.
and the episode title is called Urban Spaghetti.
This is very disappointing, Haunt Jaunts. This is simply a blog post calling people's attention to the existence of Spaghetti Warehouse and asking some questions. I don't want questions, I want answers, goddammit.
I just want to fill you in on this information. If you search "is spaghetti haunted," the third page top result is meatballs.com, the spaghetti warehouse website.
Yes!
Also, all the other results are about the Houston spaghetti warehouse.
Oh my
which
God.
is what led us on this ridiculous journey
God
in the
bless.
first place.
I love it. We have to follow this rabbit trail. We have to follow this long slide of spaghetti noodle lore.
One of the ones that I found was The Many Ghosts of Old Spaghetti Factory, picture of ghostly Vancouver.
Yeah, beautiful.
good one.
Well, I'm going to continue Googling why do ghosts like spaghetti so much all evening. So I think we better wrap this one up.
Yes, so remember to eat your spaghetti and stay creepy.
Stay cool. Spirits was created by Amanda McLaughlin, Julia Shafini, and Eric Schneider, with music by Kevin MacLeod and visual design by Allison Wakeman.
Keep up with all things creepy and cool by following us at Spirits Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Tumblr. We also have all of our episode transcripts, guest appearances, and merch on our website, as well as a form to send us your urban legends at spiritspodcast.com.
Join our member community on Patreon, patreon.com/spiritspodcast, for all kinds of behind-the-scenes stuff. Just $1 gets you access to audio extras with so much more available too. Recipe cards, director's commentaries, exclusive merch, and real physical gifts.
We are a founding member of Multitude, a collective of independent audio professionals. If you like spirits, you will love the other shows that live on our website at multitude.productions.
And above all else, if you liked what you heard today, please share us with your friends. That is the very best way to help us keep on growing.
Thank you so much for listening. Till next time.